Good evening, and welcome back to Dialog with Leadership on Cecil TV. We're back again with Dr. McCarthy, County Executive. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you very much for coming.
How are you?
I'm doing well. It's good to see you.
You
and Happy
too.
New Year.
You too. A recent statewide report card rates Cecil County Public Schools' performance as average compared to other schools in the state. Though we know the metrics for these assessments are moving targets, so it's difficult to make an objective comparison. But with Cecil becoming such a leader throughout the state in terms of economic development, are there strategies to make it a leader in education as well?
Yes, there are. There are strategies in place, and one of the strategies to improve the physical sites of the schools. Mm-hmm. We basically have built a new school in Elkton, which is the Gilpin Manor Elementary School. We've recently broken ground for the Chesapeake City Elementary School, and we're procuring property now to relocate the middle school in Northeast and possibly the high school in the future. That's one of the first things we're going to do. We constantly are trying to improve the educational process by bringing in better teachers, more teachers, and one of the other aspects that we have to tend with is we have a high degree of people in special education. This has been brought about by mothers that have basically consumed lots of drugs while being pregnant. So many of these kids are special education kids, which require a great deal of attention and a great deal of financial resources. But we are constantly working to improve the educational process and basically educate our students to a much higher degree for the jobs that are becoming much more prevalent in Cecil County. Mm-hmm. We have huge developments in the Perryville area, now in the Northeast area, as well as Elkton. We've created over 4,500 new jobs, and we need a workforce which is capable of meeting the demands of these new businesses. We will continue to work to make things better. Concerning what you specifically asked about, our position in terms of the educational testing is about the same as what it was. Mm-hmm. Some of the schools gained a couple points and some of them lost a couple stars. But one of the big problems is they've changed the testing metrics pretty much every year, so it's almost a moving target. You have no constant standard by which to grade the academic performance of the students because it's changed every single solitary year. And until it basically becomes a known factor, it'll be very difficult to determine the true efficiency and effectiveness of the educational departments.
Okay.
I hope that answers your question.
It does. Unfortunately, Cecil TV missed Cecil Night this year. So as of course you know, it's an annual event on the eve of legislative session beginning, and it's a pilgrimage for the movers and shakers in Cecil County. So it's a chance to put focus on the county's legislative priorities. Can you talk about some of the county's legislative priorities for this year?
Yes, we have many legislative priorities, but the number one priority right now is basically the infrastructure in the Bainbridge BDC, which is Bainbridge Development Corporation, which is in Port Deposit, Maryland. Mm-hmm. We are basically at the threshold of breaking ground. We have people that are interested in building many large businesses there. But we need to put in the water and the wastewater infrastructure. I think that we have everything in place to basically do all the modifications necessary for State Highway Department. We've secured gas. We've also secured the electric. But we have basically asked the governor to give us a capital improvement grant of about $4 million to install the necessary water and wastewater infrastructure. If that doesn't work, we've also applied to the Economic Development Administration for a possible grant funding there. This will enable the contractors to come in and start work, hopefully, and break ground this spring. The county has also put forth the resources to put in a brand new wastewater treatment facility, which will meet the highest nutritional standards according to MDE. So we're well on our way, and hopefully this Wednesday afternoon, I will see if the necessary funds are in the governor's budget this year, and if they are, they'll be presented to the legislature for passage.
So it sounds like that's the biggest priority.
It is, yes. That's 1,185 acres. That place has been closed down for approximately 50 years, and we've worked diligently on it since I've been the executive to get this done, and I think we're going to cross the finish line.
Well, we will.
That's our biggest legislative issue. We basically have some other ones, but they pertain mainly to roads, and I'd also like to see some movement with rail transportation between Perryville, and Northeast.
The rate of violent crime in Cecil County is lower than both the state and national averages, but still people's perception of crime is often driven by what they see in the news and on social media. What is the county doing to improve safety, and what can people do to assist those law enforcement efforts?
What we've done primarily is we have a new sheriff, Sheriff Scott Adams. I mean, he's in his second term now, but he's been very effective. He's basically rearranged the schedules. He's basically offered more incentives to the police officers or sheriff's officers. We've tried to basically support them financially and also educationally. We've rearranged their schedules to basically correspond more with the crime in certain areas, especially according to the hours that the crime takes place. We're doing everything we can. One of the biggest issues, and I must say not a big issue, the biggest issue is our location between Baltimore, Philadelphia, in close proximity to Wilmington, Delaware.
And 95.
And 95, you're absolutely right. You can be in 3 different states within a half an hour.
Yeah.
People see Cecil County as an area where they can stop by, drop off their drugs, receive payment in a relatively secure neighborhood, and be back to where they go. Pretty much all of the crime that you're seeing in Cecil County is almost exclusively associated with drug transportation, drug usage, or drug distribution.
So how do we go about or how does the county collaborate with the state and other state law enforcement?
Well, Cecil County basically has a high classification, which means we're a high impacted drug area. We work closely with this Maryland State Police. We work closely with the FBI and the other organizations with drug enforcement which deal with drug issues. We have people, or basically officers, that work undercover in certain areas to help locate the drugs before they even show up here. But it's very, very difficult to get them because of judicial readjustment acts. They many times classify these people as being drug addicts and basically do not seriously prosecute them the way that I would. It's a big, big issue. It's in Cecil County, Harford County, throughout the state of Maryland, and throughout our nation, I'm sorry to say. It's something, I believe, which will be resolved over time, but this is a generational crisis. We need to put more time, effort, and money into education and prevention, because the treatment is very, very difficult to maintain. The people commonly relapse and go right back to the same hazards. And then once they get out of the detention center, they go back to the same environment. And once they've been convicted of these crimes, most people won't hire them.
Right. It's very difficult for them to find jobs.
Very, very difficult. Or basically get a job which will provide the necessary living.
Right. Later this month, you'll make your annual State of the County address. Without spoiling any surprises, can you give us an overview of what you'll say?
I'll recap all of the positive things that have happened in Cecil County in the last 2 to 3 years. We have major accomplishments in terms of buildings we've built and people that we've employed, revenues that we've brought in, infrastructure that's been created, the fact that we built new schools, building a new library, or putting water and sewer on the Route 40 corridor. I'll basically put up these things. This past year, there was a difference of close to $10 million between what our expenditures were and what our revenues were. I'm putting the revenues forth to basically recondition most of the roads in Cecil County, or help to do that. That's something that hasn't been done significantly in probably close to 10 years. I'm making significant investments in the fire companies and emergency services. And those are things I'll talk about. I want people to know that they have a very bright future here. We've created lots of good jobs, lots of great opportunities. If there's anyone in Cecil County who's unemployed, it's because they don't choose to have a job. We have an abundance of jobs, and we're getting more all the time. We've started and we've broken ground to basically to do the things that will make Cecil County truly successful moving forward. I don't think we'll ever have to raise taxes again while I'm the county executive.
Anything else to add?
No, not right now. I'm very excited about where we're going and what we've done and where we are.
Well, it's good to have you back.
Well, thank you. And you have a happy new year.
You
and
too.
Thank you for the invitation to be here tonight.